Water slaps against broken steps as the bald man with bandaged forearm runs, not knowing what he's fleeing yet. Something hisses behind him, and the corridor lights die one by one. A door bursts open ahead, then slams shut without anyone touching it. He skids, hears metal scrape, and chooses the dark. A silhouette with too many angles blocks the exit. He turns, slips, and the water goes black around his hands. Cut to sun and shouting as a line of buses idles, and he's suddenly in charge of a clipboard. The day pretends to be normal. The helmeted soldier with mirrored visor taps his watch, and the line moves. Cages of belongings roll past like quiet accusations. They walk into the district, where signs are newer than the walls and everything smells like wet metal. He keeps smiling because the cameras want him to. Doors open to show small lives stacked into boxes. A tall insectoid figure with scarred carapace watches from a corner without moving. Paperwork becomes permission, and permission becomes fire. A nest of fragile shapes is cleared with a torch, and he doesn't look long. Two insectoid figures sift a dump nearby, moving with practiced patience. The short insectoid youth with smooth carapace carries a sealed cylinder. At a crooked door, the tall insectoid figure with scarred carapace steps aside, and the bald man with bandaged forearm steps in. The room smells like oil and rain. He finds a glass vial hidden in a wall cavity and lifts it into the light. It hisses, and he flinches, and that's when it sprays. The tall insectoid figure with scarred carapace lunges, and a soldier fires. Silence returns too fast. The bald man with bandaged forearm wipes his face and keeps the vial. His arm begins to itch under the wrap. At a neon-lit roadside diner, he can't keep food down, and something dark stains the napkin. People stare like mirrors. They take him to a windowless laboratory wing because forms are easier than questions. His fingernails crack like old paint. A scanner hums, and a door locks. The heavy-set man with steel braces on legs watches through glass. They hand him a strange device and tell him to pull the trigger. It answers to him like it's been waiting. The target is alive and doesn't understand the room. He begs, and the room pretends not to hear. Numbers appear on screens, and the heavy-set man with steel braces on legs nods like a deal closing. The bald man with bandaged forearm is no longer invited to leave. He breaks a strap, then another, then runs until alarms become a single animal sound behind him. He reaches home, and it's already full of strangers. He leaves through a window and becomes a rumor. On a public screen, his face is labeled with a warning that spreads faster than truth. People step away from him like he's on fire. With nowhere else, he returns to the district and hides in noise and steam. The water remembers him. In a loft, he finds the short insectoid youth with smooth carapace guarding a metal case. The room is wired like a heart. They reveal a small command capsule hidden in the floor, and the vial's purpose becomes movement. He hears a way out. The tall insectoid figure with scarred carapace is gone, but its work remains in diagrams. The youth insists time is the enemy. They need weapons, and everyone knows where to buy consequences. The heavy-set man with steel braces on legs rules that corner. The price is an arm, measured in looks and knives. The bald man with bandaged forearm smiles like he hasn't heard. He fires once with a borrowed miracle, and the lot empties. He leaves with more weight and less time. They drive toward the city's sealed cargo tunnel, and a shadow follows on rotors. Hope learns to duck. Inside the abandoned processing plant, doors fold like paper under the new weapons. The alarms come anyway. They reach the windowless laboratory wing's back corridors and find cages where work never ends. The youth looks away. Soldiers pour in, and the helmeted soldier with mirrored visor points like a verdict. Walls become suggestions. They flee through a breach and into daylight, but the helicopter keeps a patient distance. The city watches. Back in the loft, the youth says the capsule must go first, and promises can wait. The bald man with bandaged forearm hears only half. He strikes and takes the controls, choosing now over later. The building shudders like it knows the choice. The capsule rises through a torn roof, and a missile answers. Gravity remembers him. He's dragged out and cuffed while the youth disappears into smoke. The crowd decides he's already gone. The heavy-set man with steel braces on legs claims him like a receipt. Knives return to the conversation. An automated turret wakes, and the lot becomes a geometry lesson. The bald man with bandaged forearm crawls away. Above the district, a massive shell begins to move, slow and undeniable. Every radio changes its tone. He finds a battle frame in a hangar and fits into it like a confession. The world becomes loud again. He could leave. He turns instead and goes back for the youth. They run together across the slag-filled scrapyard, chased by lines of light. The machine starts to fail. He sets the youth down and points upward. The promise is smaller than the sky but heavier than anything else. Soldiers close in, and the helmeted soldier with mirrored visor raises a hand. The district holds its breath. The bald man with bandaged forearm stands where he can be seen and makes himself the problem. Shots tear into the battle frame, and it answers until it can't. He keeps walking. The youth reaches the ramp, and the sky's shadow grows teeth. The first clamps close. The bald man with bandaged forearm falls, and hands grab him that are not gentle. The ground is suddenly enough. A ring of insectoid figures forms without a signal. The helmeted soldier with mirrored visor hesitates for the first time. The ring closes, and the verdict is not delivered by humans. The crowd looks away. Above, the clamps finish their work, and the massive shell begins to rise. The youth is a small dot moving fast. The district learns what silence is for. The city records it. They say the relocation worked because words like clean lines are easier than numbers. The buses keep running. The bald man with bandaged forearm is no longer on any list. The lists feel lighter. In a quieter district, new fences learn their shadows. People practice not looking. At a doorstep, a small metal flower appears without a note. It weighs more than it should. She keeps it like a question that doesn't want an answer yet. The city keeps moving. Far from lists, a shape works in a yard of broken things, choosing pieces that still remember their jobs. The bandage is gone, and the forearm is not what it was. He works anyway. He builds small things because small things can be finished. The yard keeps his secrets. A patrol passes and does not stop. Being unseen becomes a skill. On a screen, a distant sky shows an empty place where something used to be. He turns it off. He shapes petals from scrap and remembers a door. The memory does not ask permission. At night, the yard sounds like water again. He does not run. A rumor arrives on a bus and leaves on another. He keeps working. The flower takes shape, and he gives it a stem strong enough to travel. He wraps it in cloth that used to be a bandage. Nothing is wasted now. Before dawn, he walks until the fences change their names. He leaves the flower and does not wait to see the door open. Waiting is a different life. On a screen, officials explain progress with clean words. The words do not look back. The woman with dark hair and plain coat finds the flower and holds it like a promise that can't speak. She looks up once, then once more, then keeps it. Some things survive by staying small. Back in the yard, he builds another, slower. The sky is not finished with anyone. A distant light moves where the shell used to be. He counts days by sparks. The patrols thin, then thicken somewhere else. The city learns new habits. He repairs a hinge on a gate that doesn't thank him. Work remains honest. At dusk, water gathers in places that remember him. He steps around it. He finishes the second flower and sets it beside the first. Pairs are harder to lose. On a broadcast, someone says return is unlikely and means not today. He turns it off. He walks the long way back and leaves one more small thing behind. The woman with dark hair and plain coat finds the second and understands the shape of patience. She keeps both. The door stays closed, but it is a kinder closed. In the yard, he starts a third and stops. Some numbers are for other people. He listens to the city and hears fewer alarms. Silence becomes a tool. A bus goes by with new faces and old hopes. He does not board. He fixes a radio and leaves it playing for no one. The voice fades. Night brings the smell of rain, and he remembers the corridor. He keeps his feet dry. He looks up where the shell once was and counts without numbers. In a small room, the woman places the flowers side by side and does not cry. She turns off the light and leaves them where they can be found. He returns to the yard and begins again, because beginning is still allowed. Far away, something small moves where nothing should. He does not chase it. The city writes a report and closes a file. He keeps a bench clear. He sits and works and stands and works. Time becomes a material. Rain finally falls where it should, and the yard sounds like forgiveness without words. He finishes another small thing and sets it aside for later. Later is a place now. He looks toward the city and then back to his hands. Both are still here. In a quiet yard of broken things, he keeps making objects meant to be found. The work continues, and that is the ending.